Whereas exporters have various means of financing for short term exports, the financing mechanism for long term exports are not too many. Forfeiting addresses this gap and provides an important and effective tool in financing the long term exports. Let's understand forfeiting. What is forfeiting? Forfeiting is a method of export financing where export receivables backed by bills of exchange or promissory notes are discounted on a non recourse basis. Key features include financing export receivables through discounting receivables evidenced by bill of exchange or promissory notes, no recourse to the seller, medium to long term maturities, fixed rate discount basis, financing up to 100% of contract value. The word forfeit originates from the French term a forfeit, meaning the surrender of rights. In simple terms, forfeiting allows an exporter to transfer payment claims without recourse and receive immediate cash, effectively converting a credit sale into a cash sale. Eligibility criteria for forfeiting is export of capital goods and other products made under medium to long term credit arrangements are eligible for forfeiting. Forfeiting works under a deferred payment export contract. Receivables evidenced by bill of exchange or promissory notes are forfeited. These instruments, backed by a co-acceptance, that is, evaluation from a reputable bank, typically the buyer's bank, are endorsed without recourse to a forfeiter in exchange for immediate discounted proceeds. Bills of exchange and promissory notes must adhere to the prescribed format to qualify for forfeiting. Exim Bank acts as a facilitator between Indian exporters and overseas forfeiting agencies. How does Exim Bank facilitate forfeiting? Let's understand. Exim Bank obtains indicative and firm codes, that is, discount rate, commitment fees, etc., from overseas forfeiters, receives evaluated instruments from exporters and forwards them for discounting, arranges for the remittance of discounted proceeds to exporters, issues certificates enabling the remittance of commitment and other related fees. Forfeiting is approved in India. The Reserve Bank of India, through ADGP Series Circular Number 3, dated February 13, 1992, authorized Exim Bank to facilitate forfeiting. Authorized dealers may independently offer forfeiting services by adhering to prescribed RBI guidelines. Costs involved in forfeiting are commitment fee, discount fee, documentation fee. What is commitment fee? That is a fee payable by the exporter for the forfeiter's commitment to discount a specific transaction at a firm rate within a set period, normally not exceeding 1 year. Typically ranges between 0.5% to 1.5% per annum on the unutilized forfeited amount. The commitment fee is non-refundable even if the export contract is not executed. Discount fee refers to the interest cost charged over the entire credit period, deducted by the forfeiter from the cash proceeds paid against the evaluated instruments based on prevailing ARR, that is alternative reference rates plus a risk margin. The discount rate is agreed upon at the time of the forfeiting contract and applied to the total principal and interest due at maturity. In context to documentation fee, normally no documentation fee is charged in simple forfeiting transactions. However, if extensive documentation or legal work is required, a fee may apply. Any other costs may include Exim Bank charges a service fee, that is payable in Indian rupees for facilitating transactions. Additional costs such as handling charges or penalties, may be levied depending on transactions specifics and will be disclosed in advance. Are these costs transferable to the overseas buyer? Yes. As per RBI guidelines, all forfeiting related costs, including the discount fee, documentation fee, and other forfeiture charges, should be passed on to the overseas buyer. Commitment fees should also be passed on wherever possible. Exporters should structure contracts to ensure their net realization matches the price they would have received under a cash sale. On what value will duty drawback be computed? Duty drawback will be calculated on the FOB value, that is the invoice value minus freight, insurance, if any, and forfeiting related charges. Now let's see the benefits of forfeiting for exporters. Converts a deferred payment sale into immediate cash, enhancing liquidity. Provides 100% financing of the export value compared to 80 to 85% under conventional schemes. Eliminates exposure to political, commercial, and credit risks. Offers non-recourse financing, preserving the exporter's borrowing limits. Provides fixed rate finance, shielding from interest rate and currency fluctuations. Simplifies collection efforts and credit administration. No long-term relationship with the forfeiter is required. Eliminates the need for export credit insurance, saving associated costs. Fast, simple documentation allows for quick transaction closures. What is the duration of receivables eligible for forfeiting? That is, receivables with a maturity of 1 to 5 years are typically eligible. In which currencies can forfeiting contracts be executed? Contracts can be denominated in major convertible currencies such as USD, Euro, Pound Sterling, and Japanese Yen. What is the minimum contract value for forfeiting? Generally, a minimum contract value of USD 2,50,000 or its equivalent is required to qualify for forfeiting. Do all countries qualify for forfeiting? Let's see. Eligibility is determined when forfeiting agency is approached for a quote. The availability of forfeiting depends on the agency's assessment of the political and commercial risks of the importer's country, and they will specify the maximum amount and period for which forfeiting is available. Next, we shall understand the operating mechanism for a forfeiting transaction in a simplified way. The first step is initiating negotiations. The Indian exporter initiates discussions with the prospective overseas buyer regarding order quantity, pricing, payment currency, delivery period, and credit terms. The next step is approach to Exim Bank for indicative quote. Exporter approaches Exim Bank providing details such as buyer's name and address, country, guarantor bank, description of goods, order quantity, value, delivery repayment period, and authorized dealer bank. Third step is receipt of indicative quote. Exim Bank communicates indicative terms, that is discount rates, fees to exporter. The next step is finalization of export contract. Exporter finalizes terms ensuring net foreign exchange receipt equals cash sale price after forfeiting costs. Next step is request for firm quote. Exporter requests Exim Bank to obtain a firm forfeiting quote upon buyer's acceptance. The sixth step is confirmation of firm quote. Exim Bank secures and conveys a firm quote to exporter for confirmation within a specified period. The next step is execution of contracts. Exporter executes commercial contract and forfeiting agreement through Exim Bank. The next step is issuance of certificates by Exim Bank. Exim Bank issues certificates for commitment fee and discount fee payments. Remittance instructions provided to exporter's authorized dealer. The next is shipment and documentation. Exporter ships goods incorporating forfeiting costs within FOB price on invoice. Specific details regarding discounts, must appear on shipping bill and GR form as per regulations. The next step is contract terms for payment instruments. Contract specifies payment via evidenced bill of exchange or promissory notes. The next is bill of exchange process. Exporter draws bills, obtains acceptance and evaluation from importer's bank, endorses without recourse and forwards them via Exim Bank to forfeiter. The next is promissory notes process. Importer issues evaluated promissory notes, exporter endorses without recourse, forwards via Exim Bank to forfeiter. The next step is receipt of discounted payment. Forfeiter pays discounted amount to exporter's bank abroad. Funds remitted to India. Exporter receives certificate of foreign inward remittance. Next is forfeiting for multiple shipments. Single forfeiting contract may cover multiple shipments subject to minimum value criteria per shipment. The next is payment on maturity. Forfeiter presents matured instruments to AVEL, that is guarantor bank, for settlement. Parties involved: exporter, that is of India; importer, that is overseas; exporter banks, that is India; importers evaluating bank, that is overseas; Exim Bank, that is India; and forfeiting agency, that is overseas. Thank you so much. Stay tuned.